This is Dust War Journals, episode 38, your number one stop for all news and discussion related to Dust 1947, and this is our 3-year anniversary! Yay! Yay us!
Yay us! Yes. But not only that, it's the third video show.
It is. It's
the third video anniversary as well.
It is. The third episode.
Yes.
That's going out with video. That is correct. So, this has been quite a day. Actually.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is the end of a long and intensive and very fun day, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Because we just... I wouldn't say just because we had some planning as well, but we like a few hours ago, we wrapped up our first battle report game, which was very, very interesting in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And I hope we're going to get that out on YouTube in... I wouldn't say a few days. There has to be some editing, I would think, to get it down to a manageable size so you can actually sit down and watch it and not be bored to tears.
But you see the remnants of it here, and this is the battlefield actually where we fought.
That is, with some exceptions, because you did bring some of your
exactly.
things that you
packed just
done,
a little bit away now to make some room here and stuff. So, but anyway, it's most of the battlefield you can see here before us.
Yeah. If you're looking at the YouTube version of the show, that is.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
but I think
otherwise you will be looking at something completely different.
Yes,
definitely. But it wasn't just terrain, and it wasn't just the dust. It was also some dustified kits.
Yeah, and that kind of goes right into the. Maybe we first should mention, I feel that this is going to be a sort of special episode.
It is. It's not going to be the normal. It is a special episode, that is true.
Yes, we're going to try to keep it like nice and short and do things a little bit different, perhaps.
Try is the appropriate word.
Yeah, sure. But still, we'll start a little bit with the kind of hobby time.
Yes.
And just like last time, I'm going to do a small show and tell here.
Ooh.
Yeah, big surprise for you, or maybe not.
Yeah.
So this is a Staghound MK3 that is 3D printed with a little bit of added extra details, but not too much actually. Mm-hmm. That I finished since last time, and I think it's a cool car, and it was super fun because you guys let me use it now in the battle that we just played, with some made up stats for it. We had some discussions beforehand to try to think out how would this work in the game. So I think Ludda's going to talk a little bit more.
Yeah,
about
I just want to pop in first to say that I so love the Staghound, and I'm a bit, of course, jealous that Mats printed that for you to do. But of course, as you both know, he printed something for me as well, so I can't complain.
Actually, but just to say, it was kind of a process to get this on the gaming table, because at first when we discussed it before we had actually seen the finished model, we thought, well, we can use it. Like just a proxy for the Humber. Mm-hmm. But then when it arrived, and it turns out it's quite a bit larger. Yeah. So it doesn't really have the same profile visually. And we also did some research and looked at their combat roles and noticed that, the Staghound is quite a different beast from the Humber.
Yeah, I was kind of planning to make it sort of quick and just use we have... We've made our own dustified card for Humber without phaser, with its regular historical armament. And I was just thinking that, I can probably just use it like that, use that card as a proxy. But then the more I looked at it and kind of compared, I felt that this is not the same, and it's going to feel weird. So,
Yeah, I think it's good that it now has three sorts of small armored car. Although that is not a small one, it's quite a large armored car actually.
It is.
But I mean,
it's on the very borderline of actually being counted as a large vehicle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But at least for now, or in the game we played, it did not count as a large vehicle still, but very close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really enjoy it, and I hope Mats will print more, because we definitely could use a few more of those tags in the.
Yes,
But,
definitely.
If you allow me,
Yeah.
I'll just pop this out, because I'm very happy for this one as well. This is, of course, the ISU 122, and haven't done anything particular with it. Just mounted a twin machine gun, because I thought that was a little bit funnier than just having the standard stuff. And you will see I have some more vehicles as well that we've done, the T-34 and KV-1.
Yeah, those you've had for a while now. Yeah. So this is the new one for this battle. It's the first time you've used it in a game, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is I did it just like Magnus here for this battle that we had, and I'm fairly happy with it. You could doodle some more with it to get it up to better stats, but Magnus showed his, so I'll show mine. Hey, perhaps I don't know if I'll just place it over there and just say that. And we made it the 5 armor class, and I think that makes it interesting, because we have no tanks so far that is a 5er. It's only walkers, and and there is a special incident in the game, not with this one, but with another tank, which really emphasized the importance of being a tank and not a walker.
Yes, that is true. That's one of those things that people tend to forget sometimes.
Yes, I did. A spoiler alert, I did. But
talking about the game, I don't think we should spoil how it's concluded.
No.
But I think we can mention some things about it, and just that the fact that we played the between a rock and a hard place scenario from the Hellgate expansion book, and
finally,
Wheel
3.
Yeah, and it was the first time that we've been able to play this scenario together.
Yeah,
and it was just a blast.
Yeah.
I had so much fun, and without saying too much, it was a very brutal game.
Oh yeah,
but it still felt like it could go any way at any time, basically. So I'm looking forward to getting this up on YouTube and may have people be able to see it, because it was so much fun.
Yeah, it's second time I played it, and with different forces, and I really feel that it was a different kind of game, even though I almost played the same role, but with another army and everything is different actually. But I came from the same place and had the same objectives as before.
Yeah.
But it's such an interesting and good scenario, and
just the fact that it evolves over time.
Yeah.
It's one thing at the start of the game and a completely different thing at the end.
Definitely.
Yeah, there are all those, like twists and turns. Sometimes you feel certain that, okay, this flank is mine now, and something happens, and, you have to rethink it, and make up a completely different strategy.
And just the fact that I can say that much, that I was the defender that starts in the middle of the table, and the defender also has a bit more points than the attackers do, and I know that when we talked about this before the game, I felt like, I have such a big advantage here just because of this. And almost immediately when we started playing, I just felt like I'm being harassed from two flanks here. And the fact is that in order to keep you two at bay, I have to divide my forces, and suddenly I feel like I'm at a big disadvantage suddenly.
Yeah, it's that old, fighting on two fronts.
Yes, and it's
super difficult.
Yeah, and this scenario really makes that felt for the defender, definitely. Yeah. So it's very much recommended, and it's a worthy winner of the scenario contest that the studio held.
Definitely.
We didn't really mention that until now, so I think it would be a good time to do so. Yeah. That is, it's a terrific scenario, well worth the time and effort to get together some people and play it.
Yeah, I mean it's so unusual for 3-player scenarios and for them to work this well.
Yeah.
So. This is definitely a good one.
Yeah, basically, I think it was like 10 or 12 times in that game that it felt like, okay, if this die roll had gone different, whole scenario would have shifted.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, now it's you.
Cover
me.
save
No,
that
yeah.
just you know failed or that just worked or
So well, yeah.
Yeah, so terrific. So look forward to seeing that battle report video sometime
And
soon.
all you guys out there, if you haven't tried this scenario yet, you should really do it.
Oh,
Gather
yeah.
a couple of friends and try it out because it's super fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Vikings recommends. So let's talk a little bit about the past 3 years then, because it's been quite eventful, both for Dust War Journals, the show, and for Dust the game.
Yeah, it's been 3 years. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Did you thought this when we sat down that time when you invited us to join and have a little chat in the pod?
No, well, I never thought that we would be here and expose ourselves on the internet on videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was quite sure that we all would make fools of ourselves, and I think we've done that quite good and been
Mission accomplished.
Yeah,
I'm used to it. So.
No, I also think that we kind of had grown a little bit. I think we are doing more now in our pods than we did when we started.
Yeah.
Starting to feel the ground a little bit beneath our feet, so know what we're trying to achieve, and not putting it too big words on it, but I just feel like we are progressing, even though it's not fast, but we're moving at least.
Hopefully,
forward,
at least getting a little bit better. You know.
I feel so.
I mean, just for myself personally, I mean, I started this show as a solo show in the first episodes back in September of 2016, and it was difficult for me to keep that flow, and it's much easier to have a discussion and have a conversation with someone. I feel there are people out there that can do a good solo podcast. I don't think that I am one of those people. So for me, it's very difficult to go back and listen to those first episodes because I get so self-conscious.
Ah, okay, yeah, well, yeah, that was the hardest part in the beginning, and I felt also the hardest part when we did the first video show.
Yeah.
Even though if that was just recently, but just trying to let go of everything around and concentrating on focusing on the video camera instead of like, well, it doesn't matter if we do the show now. We focus more on the subject and ourselves, and I mean, it looks like it looks. we can't do much about that. I mean,
That's true.
we are the way we are. But also, I'd like to tie this into, I feel like we have not perhaps evolved as quick as the game these last 3 years, but I think we have been on a parallel journey as well. But because I feel like
we've been on a journey of discovery, I would say, because there's a lot of aspects of the game that we are still working on, figuring out together and just discovering different facets of. So even if we talk a lot, we are not the end-all, be-all knowledge wizards, I would say. We are enthusiastic fans, and I think that's what we want to also bring to the table. We want people to be able to feel that, we can talk about the new stuff, we can talk about how we interpret, but we also invite our listeners and our viewers to join that discussion in different ways.
Yeah, that's important, and I am so grateful that like we always get interesting questions, and often we get like too many questions, so we don't have time really to answer all of them. Hopefully we've been able to answer most of them at least. I hope you guys feel that we are at least trying as hard as we can to do that, but sometimes it's difficult. Yeah,
that's the hardest part actually, I think, with this pod, which is the fact that we are amateurs and we are doing this as fans, so we don't have the time, and we have to, of course, try to manage our jobs and families and stuff like that. But just when the quality of the questions, and first off, when we started getting the questions and the richness of the questions that the last year really has brought us, you guys really made this show better, I feel, because it was so much more interesting for us to do it with your questions, and hopefully also the interaction feels better for you out there. But also, one has always the feeling that, oh, Jesus, this question, why couldn't we just had an hour more to talk about it, analyze it, and stuff like that? But the thing is, to get together and talk about it and just analyzing it, it's hard getting that time, and I hope we can perhaps manage that.
Every show would be like 4 hours long.
Basically.
Sorry, I'm a bit unclear. Perhaps
Okay.
I would love to have had the time before the show.
Oh yeah, to prepare more. Yeah, that
I
is
feel
one
that's
point.
somewhere. The thing that I feel that we can be improving on is the fact that if we could do more prep work, it would be. But of course,
like you said, I mean, we have our normal lives, so sometimes that's hard, and also sometimes we get questions like really late, just before. But we still want to do them. We still want to discuss it because they are really good questions. So
it's so true. It's so true. So that's,
it is what it is. We're just trying to do the best we can.
Definitely. And that said, it's I also think that we started in quite an opportune time in the game's history. I mean, especially since you two guys have been playing the game for a lot longer than I have, and I kind of look at it as the last 3 years, the game has just expanded enormously compared to at least like 2 years, the 2 years before then.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
it was a very opportune time because a lot of stuff just started to happen around that time.
And that's why I see a parallel with the pod, actually, because I feel like the game is now starting to find its feet. I feel like it's established. It was established before, and of course our pod has nothing to do with that. But I mean, it seems like now it took a while after the Kickstarter to get everything just sorted, and now they have everything just coming out from the studio, and they with the distribution of these in the States and stuff like that, and Mark just exploding and stuff like that. It's just like the game now is really here, and you feel like it's here to stay. Before that, it was like on and off, and okay, a new distributor, a new thing, and something happens over there. It was like, well, will this game actually last? And natural thoughts for every game in the beginning, of course. But
And
yes,
No, I was just going to say that it's. I'm not really. I would just say surprised, maybe, because I mean the game is obviously for all you guys out there watching this. You know that the game is a really good game with some super cool models. But there was some heavy, some really big bumps on the way there. There were problems for a bunch of different reasons. So it's so good that those problems were sorted and things are moving along. So, I mean, every game has its problems, and eventually there will be like a new edition with this game and all of the things that comes with that. Some people will be angry, some people will be happy. Things will change, all the discussions and everything. But that's like normal problems. Now we're past all those bumps.
And we have that kind of just physically, just right after the show started, the Dust 1947 rulebook got released. And that was really the starting point for the game as it stands today. It was just a huge event, the whole shift to self-publishing and just the whole philosophy shift, I feel, behind the game as well. And of course, since then we had the 2 expansion books, Operation Condor and Operation Hellgate, which I think people know already that we love these books. They are just fantastic expansion books. And not just for what they bring to the game as a game, but also what they bring to the world of Dust and the world building, the lore of the game, the history of
if
the
I remember
characters.
correctly, when we did our end of the year kind of top releases during the year, at least I placed the Condor book as my number one, because by then I felt the ball was really rolling by then, and like, okay, this game is really moving now. So that was a fantastic release.
Definitely. And also, if we look at what has been released for the actual game itself in terms of new units, it's just insane if you look at the last 3 years. It's an enormous amount of stuff. Just the fact that at the start of Dust 1947, the current rule system, there basically only were 3 big factions. There was the Axis, the Allies, and the SSU.
And by then I would have liked to say that the SSU weren't even that big. I mean, there was still, a lot of units sort of missing. And
Steel Guards were just emerging.
And a few of them, and by then, back in the former edition of the game, the Steel Guards and like all aircraft in the game weren't really very good at all, so nobody kind of played them. So, there's a lot of things that has changed for the better.
Definitely. And just the fact that there are 2 new blocks to the game, 3 if you count the mercenaries. They kind of existed at the start of 47, but they weren't really their own army in the way. There were some supplementals, but now I think you could say that they are more or less their own block, especially now since the last releases, and the HQ box specifically is one of the big things that really makes it. And now this is a proper block in and of itself. And then of course we have the Mythos, which also they haven't actually had their HQ released yet, which you might be thankful for.
I'm still dreading
but they still have made an impact. We've seen that in the tournament circuit. We've seen that with people just playing casually, that the Mythos are shaking things up in a big way. And then of course we have the
you could say that it put its mark on the terrain as well.
Yes, you could say so, definitely. And of course we have the Imperial Japanese Navy, which is still kind of in the birthing phase, you could say. And that said, I think it is the new faction that has just had the fastest impact. We saw that on Dust Nordic when they were very, very new. And our good friend Roger managed to win the entire tournament with them. And because I think because they were new, but also because they are some very good units if you know how to use them. So
and they've been teased like since forever, basically. So I mean, for guys that have been playing the game for some time, they have been waiting for this. Mythos, at least to me, was more of a sort of surprise.
That was kind of a dark horse in a way.
I mean, we heard rumors about it before they were actually released. But the Japanese, they have been like teased, like some artworks and stuff. Since forever.
They've been in the lore forever.
So and another thing is also not only the entire new blocks, but also the new factions inside the blocks, like the Desert Scorpions, like the Endak, the Spetsnaz, but of course also I think importantly for a lot of older players, the Luftwaffe with the Raketentruppe, which was also one of those units that were teased, I think almost even before the game first released. There were some pictures and kind of artwork with the rocket troops. And now they're actually in the game. And that's another one of those things that's just amazing. And we also, if we look forward, I mean, the things that Paul have shown us about the Vril, it just looks insane.
Definitely.
It's going to be very interesting to see just how that has an impact on the game, but that's probably a discussion for another episode.
That's not looking back, that's looking forward.
Yes, exactly. So, and also a lot of new units for the original blocks as well. Even for the original factions, if you want to talk like that, like the Rangers or the Red Army, we have had those. The new Ranger HQ, for example, in which you can use each of the individual heroes. Yep. There's been stuff like that. So those blocks has also been enormously expanded upon, which is really cool.
Definitely, and the 2 books that they have released, we haven't talked about those either. I mean, Blood and Thunder and Winter Child. I mean, those 2 are also, to me, important and gives the extra fluff. And I so hope that they will soon release something new.
Yeah, I hope so too, and especially since they tease it on the Winter Child book itself. Yeah. It's the first book in the Sphärograd series. Yeah. So, yeah. That's hopefully someday we will get that. Another very cool thing was the release of the Dust and List app, which I don't think there's almost anyone who does not use it now when we go to tournaments, at least in some capacity, just to quickly look at stats for a unit they don't own, or just for reference in that way, or for building armies. I mean, that's basically how I build most of my armies nowadays.
Yeah, me too. And it's so easy to use, and it's so it was a bit how would you say? It had some problems in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at least on my phone, it was after I can't remember, an update or 2, it became super slow. But then after another update, they fixed that, and I mean now I think it works really well. So,
I'm getting there. I'm still, I must say, I prefer Battlescribe on 8th again. But of course, that's not 100% updated. So, but everyone is using the Dust and List app in some capacity. That's true. So it's a very, very good thing that they did.
Definitely. I think they've done great job on the app.
I agree,
because it helps. It helps so much in so many ways. At least for me, it's super quick. And if for some reason I'm playing Luda and I see your cheaty SSU guys and I wonder, okay, how far can they shoot? I can just quickly look it up while you are doing something else. I don't have to disturb you and ask you for the stats. I can just
Next thing, just to give them something to work on, it would be if you could have your opponent's lists and your own list, and you could switch between them. So now Cthulhu is coming on the board. And
we have Cthulhu here in the studio.
Let's see. No coffee for you. You get so wild and crazy. That's actually Johannes. So, what's its name now again?
It's Tippy.
Tippy. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. There you go. You want to be the center of attention.
Of course, like every cat.
Of course.
What I was thinking about there is that we were talking about tournaments and events, and that's also one of the things that we've seen grow in a really big way for these past 3 years. Just to see how the landscape around the game has changed, and we can see that just by looking kind of over to our neighbors in Poland, because that scene has just exploded immensely. We were all 3 of us at the first Polish tournament that they held, which was then the East European Championship, the Central European Championships, which then turned into the European Championships. And it started out as a smallish tournament in a hobby club, basically.
Definitely.
But even then, we had the involvement of the creators of the game. We had Paolo and we had Olivier, which is one of the things that I also think is so amazing, that it doesn't really matter to them, it seems, how big your event is or how many people are there and what they get out of it, because they like to play the game and they like to watch people play the game, and they just enjoy it so much. And that to me is just the soul of the game in a way.
Yeah, I get the feeling that for them it's important that if they feel like someone enjoys their game, they want to commit to it. And then it doesn't matter anymore how big, if it's a 4-person tournament or if it's a 400. As long as those who are there enjoy and want to play their game, then they give back, so to speak, and that's the beautiful thing.
That's the absolutely best attitude to have to it, because if people like the game, they will spread it. Maybe it's not going to go super fast, but they will spread it, because I mean, just look at ourselves. We started with almost nothing, and it grows and grows and grows. So
it's true,
and that also means that. If it's something that even schlubs like we can do, then it's something that anybody could do, I think. And we've been around, not as much as maybe we would want all the time, but we've been to Poland, we've been to Germany, we've been to Belgium, and this met a lot of very interesting people to
definitely
play against and just also hang out with. That has been one of the greatest things about traveling for tournaments. It's just the people you meet and the conversations you have.
Yeah, you really start to get irritated that it's so far away to get to the US now.
Exactly, because we hear so much about all these fantastic events going on in the US. And it's just so far, and it takes a lot of time and money. And we've been saying that for a long time now. Sometime it's going to happen.
Oh, definitely.
We don't know when, we don't know where, but
not know how. But
no, exactly. But if someone wants to pay for our plane tickets and such, then we're happy. But
we'll get one of those containers, and we pack ourselves in one of those.
Exactly.
And go
just buy enough battle foam and put ourselves in there. So,
sail.
And of course, our own scene here in Sweden, with all the different tournaments and just play dates basically, and casual matches and stuff like that. It's
not just that the events are growing, it's also that the number of events are growing. I mean, not every event needs to be a super big event. I really like the mix of that. I like to of course it's cool to go to one of those big ones, because it's the whole thing with so many players and different tables and everything, cool scenarios. But also go to those small scenarios where you are maybe familiar with the guys, or maybe you just meet once in a while and play in that small clubhouse. That's so much fun.
Exactly. So just talking about tournaments, we perhaps should say something about some upcoming tournaments that people could perhaps go to, because there are some coming up. We have one. We have one that is very soon. It's just in almost about a week from when we're recording this, and it's Die Hungerspiele in Berlin. This sounds like it could be really fun. We've heard a bit about it, and there's still time, I think, to get into it if you have the opportunity. Then, of course, we have the Dust Railway tournament here in Sweden, in Tranås specifically, and this is not until November, so it's still a lot of time for people to make plans and register for that.
Definitely.
And that, those guys usually have very interesting scenarios and tournaments setups. That's going to be very interesting to see what they do.
And for all you outside of Sweden, it's going to be an international tournament, because we know at least there's one country that comes visiting. So please make sure your country is represented as well. You know?
And then, of course, we have the German Masters in Berlin at Battlefield Berlin. That was the store that I was trying to recall the name of in our last episode. And like I said then, it's almost worth going just to visit that store. So if you have the opportunity, this is November 16th and 17th. It's going to be great. I am sure of it. Yeah. And that said, I think that is basically it for our kind of retrospective. And I just have to thank everyone that has stayed with us for all this time, because
big thanks to all our listeners out
and
there.
I just hope that all our ramblings is enjoyable. we have a lot of discussions. This not always that we have the same minds about everything, but personally I think that is good for the show, for the quality.
Hopefully it makes for some interesting discussions.
Yeah, we have different opinions, we have different personalities, and I think that is a good thing. And as a token of our appreciation, we actually want to have a few giveaways in this show.
It's a celebration here.
Exactly. And it's not just about us, it's about you as well. That's the kind of point that I'm trying to make here. So we are going to give some bonus prizes away to a few of the listeners that have been sending in questions to us during the last year. And we have selected these semi-randomly, I would say. One is completely random, and one is kind of a special appreciation gift, you could say.
You could say.
And the first one that we selected randomly, we are going to get in touch with you and just work out the details, exactly what it is you're going to receive, because we have some options.
Yeah.
And this is going to Mike Pierce.
Congratulations,
Mike. We are going to get in touch with you. You are going to get something interesting in the mail.
And actually, how we did this was that we took all the questions that we got and we did a random selection from them.
Yeah.
So, since you all participated, we wanted to give something back to you.
Yeah.
So this is that truly. So it's not like we just picked someone randomly that we saw on Facebook or somewhere else.
No.
From the people who contributed, we made a raffle, as you say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in the same spirit, just people who are contributing to the show and contributing to the Dust community as a whole, I would say. We want to give a special thanks and appreciation to Brian Keith Yountz.
Yeah, definitely.
Yay.
Yeah. And for
of the
Brian,
line, yeah.
I actually have a special little gift that I'm going to send to him. And I'm also, because you haven't seen this, I'm actually also going to give you guys one of these as well. So I'm going to show you in just a second.
Oh.
But first, I want to kind of give a little bit of a context and also another little personal surprise in a way.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Brace yourself here,
Yes,
guys.
we are bracing ourselves.
Yeah, because this is not only the anniversary show of the show.
No.
Because today is also, as the day we record this,
Yeah,
is
it's a
also
special day for you.
It is, because today is actually my 40th birthday.
Woo! Happy birthday to ya! Happy birthday! Happy birthday to ya!
You didn't tell us before?
No.
No, because I wanted it to be a surprise, and he ruined it by going into LinkedIn.
Yeah, sorry. I happened to be on the social media
let's see if I
just
can
minutes
just-
before the show, and then I realized Johannes, whoa, he's on his frigging birthday today, and I never. I don't know how you are, Magnus, but I never remember when my friends are having birthdays. So,
That is not
here's
one
happening
of
thing.
my strong sides.
Yeah.
So, what
This
you are
is-
going to get and what we're going to send to Brian, let's see if we can get it in.
Oh my lord, as you would put it. This is. I just thought you're gonna give us some whiskey here.
No.
So, this is interesting. Oops, and something else is coming out of the closet.
It is.
Are you coming out of the closet, or what is it? What's coming out of the
No,
closet?
it's not me coming out of the closet, but
No.
we are going to be sending Brian one of these. This is a Dust War Journals engraved whiskey glass,
Oh man.
which also going to give one to you guys. And
Oh,
we all have one of our own.
man.
And in order to properly
Yeah, of course.
do this, we also have, of course, to have ourselves a little dram here, I would say.
Yeah.
And to celebrate not only the show, but also in a little way me, I want to pour out a little bit of this 40-year-old scotch for us.
Oh.
And I wish I could have the opportunity to have everyone out there take part of this, but if you have something by yourself that you want to drink to this, then you are welcome to join us in a toast. So
I'm just so happy now that there is actually a few years left until I turn 50, so I can prepare something for that, because this puts the bar quite high, you know.
I would hope so. So I would say to
listen to this, man.
Yeah, of course. I would say to
the good sounds of this.
To Dust, to the game, to the creators, to Paolo, to Olivier, and to all of the members of the Dust community and the Dust family, I would say, because
definitely.
Dust, like they say, Dust is family, as we've heard from our friends over in the US. Thank you for staying with us for 3 years, and thank you for staying with the game for however many years you've been playing. And I will hope that we all get a lot of years together as well in the future. So see you on the battlefield, and cheers. Thank you for listening to Dust War Journals. You can find us at dustwarjournals.com or on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dust War Journals. And you can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/dustwarjournals. All music used in this podcast is made by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com.